Hi, I'm Shenda from Shenda, and I'm thrilled to be here with you today on this workshop where we are going to use some felt and some thread to make some really cool felt star Christmas decorations. Let's get started. Okay, the first thing that we need to do is take a piece of felt and fold it in half. And the reason why you're doing this is because we are actually going to make the two star shapes that we need that we're going to sew together for the decoration in one go. Now, the first thing we need to do is draw a circle. You'll need a pen. Pencils don't tend to work very well on felt, so use a pen. And then to draw your circle, if you don't have, I actually have a circular ruler, you can actually say use a roll of tape of some sort. You could use a tin. You can use a bowl, just something that will give you a circular shape. So before I start the circular shape, I just want to pin or clip the two pieces of felt together so that when I go to cut, it'll still cut the same shape. Now, you may have something like these at home, or you may have pins, but pegs from, just your washing line pegs works fine. So you take your pen and you draw. Now, depending on your felt, sometimes you can do that and it will actually imprint straight away. Sometimes you may have to go over it a couple of times, but that's okay, just take your time. And you will get a circular shape. Now, to make the star, we need to draw some lines that will intersect and then create the star shape. So the easiest way to do this is at the very top of the circle, or very bottom if you're the way you're looking at it for me. Then you imagine, say, a line going down, and then you want about here, and then again the same roughly on the other side. So you've got your dots there, and then you want to, this is just a roughish guide. I'm not very good at drawing, so usually I would tend to print off a picture of a star and cut it out and then stick it down and cut it, but I thought it would be easiest to do this so that you don't have to worry about printing anything off. Now what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to draw the lines on. These you want to do sort of lightly, just so that you've got them, and you'll see the star starting to take shape. So you draw a line from one end there, and then from that same point to there. Then these here that you've drawn, just draw a line across. Then you go from this point to here, and then you're going from this point to here. And then you will have a triangle. These triangles will make up your star shape. Then you want to cut out your star shape. So very carefully, just cut along. And then you can turn around as you want. Cut, oops, gently. And then what I would do is I'd just take the peg, pop it there, and it just means it doesn't move as you cut the rest. Keep these pieces, you will be using them later on. So then I'm gonna go cut here. And it doesn't matter if your cuts aren't totally straight, because do you know what? It makes your star unique to you and a little bit quirky. On the homeward stretch, one last little cut here. Okay, and this means we have a star shape. Now, as you can see, this has lines on it, but when you sew it, you're actually going to be sewing it together. So you're just going to take the top, put it down, and put the bottom one over one of these pieces. You just take it and cut a strip. What you're going to do is you are going to fold that strip in half, and it's actually going to go in there, so that when we sew it all up together, you can hang the decoration. Okay, so let's get 2 pegs or whatever you're using to clip the felt together. And they're going to be used just to hold things in place, so as you're sewing, it doesn't move too much. So get your needle and thread. You want to pop the thread through the eye of the needle. I've just done this so it doesn't take so much time. And then you want to tie a knot in the end. So what you do is you get the 2 ends of the thread and you wrap it around your finger, so you've got a circle, and then you're going to bring the thread through the circle. So I'll show you again. Wrap it around your finger. And I'm just going to carefully try and get it knot together. So you don't actually need to double knot it. I just did a double knot to show you how to do it. And then I'm just going to move all this out of the way, give myself some space. And then just before you start, just pull the thread gently, and just means then there's no kinks in it. So the very first time you're sewing, what you want to do is you want to hide the knot on the inside. So you want to go through the loop, 2 parts of the loop and the front part, and then hold the 2 together, and then go back through. and then just pull gently the thread through, and then just pop and pull through. And now what you're going to do is you're going to sort of run a stitch all the way around. So you move down a bit and pull through. So it'll move down a bit. And so what you're doing is you're going through the back and just pulling through. Down a bit. Pull through. Down a bit. Pull through. Down. And pull through. Oops. And pull through. It doesn't matter how small or wide you make your stitches. Just if you do decide that you're going to put some stuffing inside of the decoration to make it a bit more 3D, then you don't want your stitches to be too large. And you can use any color thread that you want. I've used red because I wanted to show contrast so that you'd be able to see the stitches easier. But you can use white on white if you don't want people to see the stitching, or you can use, like I have, a different color. And as you go round, I can now remove that peg. It's up to you. There's a lot of different color threads out there. You can actually even buy a multicolor thread, but I don't think it's easy to get. And anyway, I quite like this red and white. I think it's Christmassy. It reminds me of Santa and candy canes. So you would just keep going with this stitch all the way around. Now, the great thing about this activity is not only can you make them as gifts for people that you love, and most people love to receive a handmade gift because they know that you've put a lot of thought and effort into it. But if you're someone who loves Christmas and your house maybe is decorated with different colours each year, it means every year you can make some new felt decoration in whatever is going to be the main colours in your house that year. And my favourite colour is blue, so I used most years have a Christmas tree that was all silver and blues, and then I had children, and I love making Christmas things with them. And also, you know, when they were very little, they would make things, and if it was Christmassy, it went on the tree. So our tree now, it still has some silver and blue, but it also has a lot more colour, and actually in many ways it looks much better. It's more Christmassy, but also it looks much more loved because there's lots of things there that were handmade with love. I'm a big sucker for anything handmade and anything to do with Christmas. So I was thrilled when Light at Greystones 2020 got in touch with me and asked me would I like to host a couple of workshops, and I was allowed to choose what I'd like to do. So as we're working our way around, this peg doesn't need to be used anymore. Around we go. And because the thread is starting to get a bit low, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it now. So a bit like when we were doing this at an angle, instead of doing it at an angle, just do it straight, pull it through, but this time, instead of pulling all the way through, it's a bit like when we were doing the knot around our finger. It's the same sort of idea. You put the needle through and just pull ever so gently, and that creates a knot. So I'll show you that again. You put the needle through, so you now have your little loop, and you pull it through very gently, and then you just snip that off. And now, I've always wanted to say this, here's one I've prepared earlier. So again, because we are starting, I want to hide the knot. So I go in through the middle, just pull very gently along. Make sure my thread is nice and straight so it won't get knots, and just keep going along. Now, hopefully this will work for me. If you pull, but not quite so tightly, I didn't work that tight. Oh yeah, maybe. Well, you can see it there. You can actually get it so that you're making a different design. So that's the great thing about when you make this. The person that you're going to give this to or show it to when it's finished doesn't know exactly what you had in mind when you started. So if something ends up being not quite even or looks different, or you want to do a mixture of patterns, then it doesn't matter, because you can pretend it was deliberate from the start. Now, if you were to wanted to stuff the star, I would probably do it at this point because it's much easier. So you know the way we cut this out of a piece of felt? What you can do is you can chop that felt up into pieces. You can always chop it up into very small pieces and shove it down each of the points on the star, or you can just do the very middle, which is what I'm going to do, to just give it a bit more depth. So let's do that, and then we shall continue on our way. You can use any cut up old fabric, like an old sock would work well, or old tights, but please don't go cutting anything up without just checking with a grown-up that it's actually okay to cut up. I don't want anybody getting in touch with me to say, oh, I've just lost one of my favourite comfy old socks, because it was cut up to go into a vault decoration. So we're gonna go now. I'm just going to really quickly, just for towards the end, I'm just gonna show you how to make something called a blanket stitch. Now, blanket stitch, how blanket stitch works is you would go as if you're going to sew in again, but instead of pulling all the way through straight away, bit like doing a knot, you just pull your needle through, and what that will do is, sorry, the first one is actually crooked angle because I did it based on that, so this will be the first proper one. So you'll go in, pull it through, oops, straight, go in, pull it through, and straight. So for those of you who are a bit more experienced sewists, you can do that, but I'm just conscious that time is ticking on and there are a lot of other workshops that you may be interested in, so let's just very quickly get this finished off so that you can go on and do some more, or maybe you might want to make more than one of these and in more than just this shape. So we've got to the end. So again, what we just need to do is like we did when you're starting, you want to make your knot. So you just pull it through. And I would possibly do that a couple of times just to make sure it's secure. And then there you have it, your Christmas star decoration. Thank you for joining me on my workshop. I hope you had as much fun making your felt Christmas star as I did. And before I go, I just wanted to give you a couple of ideas of what you could do in relation to your Christmas felt stars. So here's the star that I made. You could make the star slightly different shape if you wanted. You could, instead of sewing all the way around, you could put a stitch in the middle and move it around. And here's one I've done in red with some black going around. Or you could just cut out a circle and use some different strips and make circular baubles, or you could cut out an oval. Thanks again for joining me, and thank you to Light Up Greystones 2020 for the privilege of me hosting this. I've had a lot of fun. I wish you all a wonderful, safe, happy, festive season. Take care of yourselves.